Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee Books and Rain. I thought I had some coffee left, and I do not. So sadly, I am out of coffee. I just recorded an episode and I was like, oh, I must have left it in the kitchen. I was like, well, yeah, because my cup was empty and so was the pot. So darn it. But we are diving into books and reviews today, and the one that I have, I'm a little behind on getting it done, but it actually accidentally fell off my radar. So we are talking about A Land So Wide by Erin A. Craig, and I can't believe it actually fell off my radar. I was not tracking the right date for it. So that's what happened. Is I had it planned for around the 9th of September, and it released on September 2nd. So that was my fault for writing the date down incorrectly. I did still want to do a review because I like Erin A. Craig, and The 13th Child I probably did maybe not quite a year ago, and it was phenomenal. And also The House of, was it Sea and Salt? Salt and Sea? Um, anyway, those were really good. I want to say that was about what is it? Like the 12 princesses or something like that. It was like the dancing maidens. But all very good. Liked them a lot. And so wanted to dive into this one when I first saw it available. So let's dive into the summary. I do see on Goodreads that the summary is a little bit lengthy. So we'll see if there's some parts we may be able to omit. Um, let's see. The town of Mistaken was a secret. It's up to one woman to uncover the truth, confront her past, and save the man she loves. Like everyone else in the settlement of Mistaken, Greer Mackenzie is trapped. Founded by an ambitious lumber merchant, the village is blessed with rich natural resources that have made its people prosperous, but at a cost. The same woods that have lined the townsfolk's pockets harbor dangerous beasts, wolves, bears, and the bright eyes, monsters beyond description who have rained under utter destruction down on nearby settlements. But mistaken founders have a deal with mysterious benevolence. The warding stones that surround the town will keep the bright eyes out and the town's citizens in. Anyone who spends a night within Mistaken's borders belongs to it forever. Greer, a mapmaker and eccentric dreamer, has always ached to explore the outside world, even though she knows she and her longtime love, Ellis Beaufort, will never see it. Until one day, she and Ellis are meant to finally begin their lives together. Greer watches in horror as her beloved disappears beyond the warding stones, pursued by a monstrous creature. Determined to rescue Ellis, she figures out a way to defy Mistaken's curse and begins a trek through the cold and pitiless wilderness. But there, Greer is hunted, not only by the ruthless bright eyes, but by the secret truths behind Mistaken's founding and her own origins. So we're going to go ahead and leave it there. I did leave off a little bit at the top and a little bit at the bottom, but I will note that this does say it is drawing from Scottish folklore, and it is intended to be her adult debut. Deeply atmospheric and profoundly romantic. But it is about 368 pages, first published September 2nd. Like I said, that was my fault because I wrote it down on my tracker incorrectly. And I do actually keep a tracker. Usually it looks not like this, but I usually print off some. Oops, so sorry. Usually print something like this off of NetGalley so I know what books are coming. So this was August books. And then I turn around and take that and put it into a calendar. So that way I can track it. I'm really big on visuals. I like being able to see things. If I write it, if I see it, then I'm much more likely to remember it. I know some people use their computer a lot and Google Calendars and things of that nature. I wish I was better at it, and I'm just really not. So, but anyway, let's dive back into this book. And so my first thought is I didn't like it as much as 13th Child. Now, 13th Child, in my personal thought, was chef's kiss. It was phenomenal. Like, that one lingered with me in the best ways. This one, I think there was a point, and I am not going to try to spoil this book. Since it's so new, and since it's one I think that people are going to anticipate, I'm going to try to avoid as many spoilers as possible. But Greer is, she seems fairly determined in her village, but she's not well thought of in her village. Her dad, and I'm going to just be a little crass here, is a hard ass, who doesn't treat her very well either. He just kind of treats her as like less than. And even though she has pretty much been like in love with this guy Ellis for over a decade, her dad is just adamant that she should not marry this guy. And I mean, by the time we meet Ellis, as this story opens, she's about 27. So it's not like she's young. I mean, I guess feasibly that could be considered young to some people. It's considered young to me. But she's not like immature. She's not 17. This is not like, again, it's not a YA relationship. They've been at least courting each other for a period of time. Now, the city or town of Mistaken has this annual hunt, not annual, I'm sorry, every 7 years they have a hunt where the of eligible females go out into the wilds and hide, and then the men who are eligible go out, and whoever they find becomes their bride. Okay, so that is wild. That whole thing, I didn't like it. I was like, so you're telling me that if random dude runs across me before the guy that I want runs across me, I have to marry random dude? Because once everybody goes back to town that evening after, I guess, all the females have been found, or, what have you, they have a big group marriage where they marry their person that they found, and then they go off to the marriage house and they lock themselves away for the winter. And the intent is that the female should come out pregnant. And I was like, oh dear, I don't want to live in this town. This sounds like a nightmare. But I don't think Ellis is super mad about it. And in fact, she's kind of looking forward to it only because she and Ellis have a plan. They're going to plan to find each other so that way they can be together. Greer, her dad has other plans. He is the local mill owner of the wood, and so he is pretty much the wealthiest person in town. Anybody who marries Greer will pretty much be the recipient of that wealth. So pretty much all the dudes in the town want to find her. And there's this one particular guy, I think his name is Lachlan. Anyway, he sounds like a douche canoe in my opinion. He's a fictional character, so I can say that, but it can still be alleged. I don't know. I'll say it like that. Who really wants to find her because he has ambitions of inheriting all of her father's stuff. I don't think he has any interest in her other than property, which I hate. I hate that a lot. But again, she has this plan with Ellis to, be able to meet up so they can be together forever. Again, she's liked him, and they've liked each other for over a decade. And again, they've been courting. Stuff happens as it does, and the day of the hunt, as things are kind of going maybe the way they're supposed to be, kind of not going the way they're supposed to be, Ellis, he sees her, but he keeps going, almost like, you stay and like, I've got to go. And she's so confused because she doesn't understand what's happening. Like, why would he do this? Why would he change? Why would he go out beyond the warding stones when there's nothing but danger out there? And up until this point, we have seen a little bit of what is referenced as the bright eyes, which are eyes that watch them in the dark, but always from a distance, and they look different from animal eyes. They don't look like animals. They look like something else. But then there's also the benevolence, which is supposedly their gods or whoever who protects them from the bright eyes. And so we do see as Greer and her friend Louisa, at the very beginning of the book, they're out hunting and they're near the warding stones, but I don't know if they're quite past. They might be past the warding stones because it's daytime at this point. But of course, they've got to be back within the warding stones by a certain time. Like there's certain bells or certain horns that blast in order to call people back. And so I do think they might be out beyond the warding stones. And Greer's like, oh, well, we have to leave like a tribute. And her friend Louisa just doesn't believe in the benevolence or really the bright eyes. She's like, I haven't ever seen it. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, the food that you're asking me to leave would feed my family like a meal or two. And Greer doesn't really understand because, again, her and her dad are wealthy. So they have money and they have the ability to barter and trade. Whereas Louisa, she is Ellis's sister, and the Beauforts, they have a fairly bad name in town. And honestly, it's all because of an ancestor of theirs. And so everybody still looks down upon them in a lot of ways. But they are not as well to do as Greer and her dad. So we do also learn that Greer's mom, the reason Greer is now being part of this particular hunt at 27 instead of when she was younger, is because when she turned 20 during her 20th year, when she was supposed to be part of this hunt, her mom died. And so instead of making her go through that whole process right at the time that her mom passed, she was given a pass. And so Ellis also kind of withdrew himself from the competition because he didn't want anybody else. So again, really cute in that respect. But some of my critiques, and I because I do not know the Scottish folklore this may be from, and it does say it is like historical fiction, which I don't really understand. And it also says it's a retelling, which again, I don't really know what the retelling is to understand that. But there was a reveal, maybe 65% of the way through, with this particular guy named Noah. Or maybe his name's Finn. I think it's like Finn, Noah, Finn, something like that. He comes along and he does do a little bit of saving with regards to Greer. She has, of course, wandered beyond the warding stones in order to go try to find him, and now she's in what she would consider uncharted territory, where the Bright Eyes could get her, where the benevolence may not have her back, so to speak, and where a lot of like wolves and bears and stuff like that are. And it does seem fairly cold, because we do get references to white bears, which I think there's only really one kind of white bear, and snow and such. So there you go. It seems like it's a very cold place. Well, yeah, there's a reveal that I just was like, really? Really? And I don't want to say too much because, again, I do think this book is potentially going to have fairly substantial, like, interest. But in a lot of ways, I kind of want to spoil it. But I don't want to be that person. So, I mean, okay. Here's my deal. I'm 15 minutes into this recording. So, You can stop here and you can go on your merry way and not hear any spoilers. Here you go, right here. Stop right here. If you go further, I'm going to spoil it for you. So I'm just letting you know. You can stop on your own reconnaissance. But these bright eyes, okay, we're spoiling it. We're spoiling it. These bright eyes are vampires. And we do come to find out, like, okay, they may not be called vampires, but they're very much the closest thing that I can think of to a vampire who pretty much drink blood and turn others into their same type of creature through the same process. So, vampires. And I was like, what? Are you serious? And then, I'm not going to try to spoil all of it, but that part was, I was like, really? Do we have a Twilight situation going on here? Is this what we're doing? Because I didn't feel like Twilight was very adult. Like, it's definitely not. But the representation of the relationship between her and Ellis feels cute. It's definitely one of those puppy love situations. I mean, she's loved this guy most of her life. Then Noah, or Finn or Noah, comes in. He's the same person. He's not the same as Ellis. He's just, but Noah, Finn, same guy. He comes into the picture, and of course, he's this vampire. So now you have this love triangle in my personal thoughts, and I'm like, oh no, is this a Twilight situation? Um, so I think in my personal brain, he this book may lose a star for that. I just was not thrilled about it, and I wasn't thrilled about a lot of the way certain things played out. Um, I just for it being an adult book, I didn't see a ton of adult stuff. I guess the way she kind of lusts or dreams after Finn potentially could make it a little more adulty, but I don't know. Like, y'all are going to have to let me know what you think because that's my personal thought on that. That is the only part I am going to spoil. I am not going to tell you the ending. I am not going to tell you how things play out or anything about all of that. I am just going to tell you the vampires. That is the big thing because I was like, oh man, what are these things? What? But when that came along, I was like, dang it. I don't know. Like, for me, it wasn't as. I guess because vampires have just been done so much, and we have this broody, atmospheric, wasteland, cold, frozen area, and vampires. I don't know. I don't know. Didn't work for me as well as I wanted it to. Overall, the story's pretty good. And again, I probably will give it 4 stars because I don't like if I give it a 3.75, I would still round it up to 4 stars. But that's going to be my honest take on this book. I don't know. If it works for you, hey, it works for you. And that is awesome. There's also one other kind of thing that I kind of hated, but I'm not going to tell you that part. I'm just not going to tell you that part. But I was still disappointed. So there's that. But with all of that being said, I do want to thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If you have not liked and subscribed already, I hope you will. And I will see you guys on the next page. Have a great one. Bye.